This is the Select Board meeting for Thursday, October 28th. First item on the agenda is a salute to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, second, entertain a motion about the minutes of the last meeting. Oh, I do want to do that. Okay. I checked it off, I'm sorry. Okay. First item on the agenda is the agenda.
I make a motion we approve the agenda with one change. We move item 2 up to the audit to be number 1, and then the sale bids down to number 2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we will move on.
I make a motion we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have no old business. Moving on to new business, we are going to be having a conversation with our auditor, Ron Smith, about the audit for fiscal year 09-10. The format is going to be that he's going to come up, he's going to make his presentation, and then we will entertain questions from within these 3 boards first. Okay, so to Ron Smith directly. At that point, we will open it up to public forum. Public forum questions will be addressed to our board, and then we will decide if they are questions for our board to answer, if they should go to Ron Smith. Okay, so that's how we're going to begin. Mr. Smith, will you please come on up?
Good evening. I have a sore throat, so I apologize if my voice goes. Some people will appreciate that. Before the night's over. I'm Ron Smith. I'm the principal with RHR Smith & Company, and I am here to present your June 30th, 2010 audit report. And I'm pleased to say that the town is in some of the best financial conditions since we certainly have been participating doing your audit, as of June 30th, 2010. And to go back with a little bit of history, last year when we sat at this table, the town had undesignated surplus of about $630,000. This year, as of June 30th, 2010, the surplus is $768,000, an increase of $130,000. And last year, you were barely a little over 30 days. Now you're at 45 days. So clearly, to go over the portfolio for the town, $1,340,000. I don't know what you guys have in front of you, and I've got a 56-page document, so I'll just hit the highlights and certainly ask the questions, and we can consider this the beginning of the beginning, of other conversations if we need to have them. But the town at June 30th, 2010 had $1,347,000 worth of assets against liabilities and obligations of $305,000. To leave you with surplus, as we all know it, of $1,041,000, of which $768,000 was town undesignated surplus. Based on a $7 million approximate budget for the town of Acton, we like to see, the surplus between 30, 60, and 90 days of your operating budget, which would include education. And clearly, last year, you were just hovering above 30 days. This year at 45 days. You're heading in the right direction. You've had some extreme economic times, working against the town. You did some good things last year. Education ought to be commended. That was certainly a top of conversation last year when we sat at the table. We were talking about curtailments. We were talking about overexpending special education. Your school staff, having realized all that, closed its purse strings and certainly was able to realize savings to the point where it climbed out of a hole, paid all of the summer salaries at June 30th, 2010, and still ended up having $28,000 of fund balance at the end of the year, in addition to some reserve accounts for retirement that they also made the conscious choice, to fund. So I think that that's nothing but great news for the town of Acton. The news I bore last night at the municipality that I was at, the news that I'm going to bear next week at a couple of municipalities, isn't going to be so encouraging, because what everybody's starting to realize is this state has revenue problems, and the economy has taken no prisoners. And I've seen revenues in excess of anywhere between 2 and 14% decline across the board for municipalities. And that's a fair statement to make because we do 1/3 of all the municipalities in the state of Maine. And the revenue projections weren't good in 2010, and they're bleak for 2011. And I know you guys have passed your budget. I would recommend that you be tight and stay right to it, you know, and you're really, really going to have to pay attention because, you know, we're still in some very difficult times. There still are revenue problems in the state. They're not going to get better. Don't let anybody tell you differently. So at least for the next foreseeable year that we're in here right now. You know, so I think that as I bring you this good news, I tell you to err on the side of caution as you proceed with your business. Like I said, good news, truly, truly good news. The $7 million budget, when you take into consideration $7 million budget, and you take the school, and I know the school's here, I believe the school's about $5 million, roughly, of that number. To do what they did with the obstacles that they've had against them, and to return to dig out of a hole, to face the curtailments, to face the increased cost and special tuition, you know, I think the $30,000 certainly is a great start, puts them back to ground zero, really puts the town finally in the first position going north in the direction that it really needs to. And we encourage you to stay there. We encourage you to continue to do the right things. We encourage you to monitor your spending. But more importantly, we encourage you to monitor your revenue, you know, because I really feel that that's going to be the biggest challenge you may have, you know, for this year. An excise tax being the largest generator of surplus for the town, clearly generated over $140,000 for a variety of reasons from what I understand. One, because of the issue that we were talking about last November and the possible reduction as of January 1st in excise tax, and I think that the board's caution, you know, last year. So I would just say that I know you've increased your revenue projections for excise tax in 2010 and 11. Every 3 months, just see where you're at, you know, really. So, the couple of housekeeping things as far as overdrafts go. We had 3 line items overdraft at June 30th, 2010. I believe one was general, 2 items, general assistance, public safety. They were about a couple of $1,000s each overdrafted as of June 30th, 2010. So, you know, so clearly, yeah, that, you know, that's very little money given $7 million to spend. Also the challenge that I see with the town, I'm about done talking about the town's financial portfolio as of June 30th, 2010. Just one other comment that I'd like to make before I just talking about some things that we would suggest that you would make, you know, as improvements here at this town. But before I do, one of the other things that you overcome, you know, and I know Jen's not going to like me saying this, but your tax collection rate was down in 2009 and 10 compared to 2008 and 9. And it was off by probably close to about $60,000. You were still overcoming that obstacle as well. And I think, again, given the obstacles that the town had, given the obstacles that the school had, you know, clearly you guys were very fiscally prudent, you know, and I give you credit, you know, for watching your budgets and watching how you know, guard your purse as of June 30th, 2010. And that's really my financial overview, you know, for the town, without going through 58 other pages, you know, of this document. That's really my financial overview as of June 30th, 2010 for the town and the school. And I think the schools here, they can certainly tell you some of the challenges they face in this upcoming year and many future years. You just never know what's going to happen, especially after next week, you know, with the new election. You know, and you never know what pieces of paper are going to come in the mail. And I think when you are responsible for a $5 million budget, we do 60 school systems in the state of Maine. We got some concerns after January 1st. Let me be the first one to say that. So, but pat yourselves on the back. Good year. Good year. I'm bringing good news. So.
Ron, what would be the ideal undesignated fund for us?
We'd like to see around $1 million. So I think we've had I'm going to say around a 5-year relationship. I don't think you've ever been there. It's the closest you've been there, Ted. Again, you got some work to do, but you got something to work with, and you're doing some right things here, clearly. So, yeah. And I think that in this day and age, for the next few years, it's going to be unthinkable to build fund balance. It's going to be tough. You got a lot of obstacles working against you. So that's why I say, guard the purse, watch the revenues. That's going to be that's the message I'm delivering all over the state of Maine.
Just to kind of respond to that, I believe when I was last looking at our revenue and expense report, our revenues are dead on for this year to date. They're actually a little over in some departments that were surprising. We're a little high in the code enforcement office, which is a little surprising. We are dead on with excise, and we're high as far as the number of months, but we expect that because of excising during the summer months. But they are looking good right now. We did raise some of those revenue estimations this year based on what we had brought in the previous year. They are not, we think that they are good estimates though in trying to keep the tax rate down where it needed to be. So as of right now, going in, what are we in, 4 months into the year, we're seeing our revenues being more than a third of what we expected to be bringing in for the year. So that's a good sign, I think.
You guys have definitely put yourself in a good position come January 1st, when there's a whole change in regime in Augusta. And I think that, clearly revenue sharing is another obstacle that you have. That was off by $5,000, as opposed to $300,000 where I just was the other day. So like I say, I think that, those are the challenges that you're going to have going forward. It's the unfunded mandates. It's the things that you don't see. It's the most expensive state that we live in the country, and it's not getting any cheaper. It's the cost of education and asking the educators to do so much with less. All those things compound, they flow right downhill to the local level. The counties, this jail reform, I'm not sure that's working out the way that it was intended to either. So there's a lot of extenuating circumstances, clearly, that affect your business that you have no control over here in this room. I won't say no, little control. Other financial questions?
Yeah, would you go into that $60,000 situation on collections, revenue collections?
The way I see it as of June 30th, 2010, that was made up sometime in August. As people come in and pay their tax bills and as they pay their tax liens, there was a delay. On June 30th, if you just look at June 30th, 2010 compared to June 30th, 2009, there was a delay. It was made up for 2 months later, but unfortunately at that snapshot, the year before, you had collected $60,000 more in taxes and tax liens.
Would you expect that under today's circumstances?
Absolutely, absolutely. But to give Acton some more better news, you put the same amount of liens, out this year as you did the year before. So what that tells me, people just paid late this year. They couldn't afford to pay by June 30th. People are strapped, so yeah. So there's a lot of things that we can read into that.
Ron?
Yes.
Last year, there was a lot of flack about using the school state subsidies to reduce taxes. Mm-hmm. Was that a legal move?
As far as legalities of it, I'm not sure that was the issue. I believe it was, as far as the constitutional, as far as the statute saying you can't do it, I don't think that was the issue last year. I think that the issue is knowing that night of the meeting or the very next day, I think the school got notified, correct me if I'm wrong, the school's here, that you're about to be curtailed in addition to the one that you got last year. So did you exercise your statutory right and did you do something wrong? I don't believe so. Given the economy, given the situation, given a very bad letter that you got from the Department of Education saying you just did this, and oh, by the way, this money's not going to be showing up, this year, kind of added a little insult into injury. And I think that that really was the topic of conversation. What I remember last year is that the school spent a lot of resources. We had some timing differences. We had made the conscious choice to fund summer salaries, and that the school, to alleviate some of those concerns and alleviate the curtailment of education subsidy, they put the brakes on spending. I'm not sure about when, but I guarantee it probably was even before we were having this meeting in this room. And they clearly made up a lot of ground, and to put a number on that, it was over $250,000, probably as high as $350,000. So that's really tightening the purse strings. So I remember a lot of things that we talked about, but the biggest thing is right or wrong, hey, guess what? No matter right or wrong, there was some insult into injury added either that day or the very next day with a letter saying, guess what? $75,000 isn't showing up. That you expected to.
I just wanted you to clear that up because there had been a lot of flap about it around town, and this was a good opportunity to do that. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Did you want to talk about?
Just some concerns. You hit on it. You brought it up. I didn't, so I'll continue with it. And I think that the part of the concerns that I heard last year was the lack of communication. It probably wasn't what was done, it was how it was done. And then followed on the tail of a letter, coming across somebody's desk. I think that there could be better communication between the town and the school. I think that clearly in the fiscal office, and we've talked with Carlene, Bill Hall does the school, Bruce Nato did the town. They spent a lot of time with your new treasurer. They spent a lot of time with your old treasurer. They spent a lot of time with Carlene, and we see a lot of progress being made. Those are the types of things that you need to do. And I'll tell you, when you're running $5 million business, I would embrace this meeting that I'm here at right now so we can all talk, and I would embrace, before you decide to use anything, to bring your neighbor and to bring your business partner in to say, here's what's running through our mind. It's a bad year. We need some money. Can you help us out? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I'm not sure that was happening last year, but clearly we definitely saw improvement in that area. That needs to continue. Absolutely. And I do think that, we have spent days with Michelle and Carlene to make sure that they do reconcile each month, that they do swap numbers, that they do understand, because it's not just the town here that we're running for a business, it's the school. And we want to make sure that your two key financial people are on the same page. And that's really got to continue. And I think that that can be improved. We do, out of 60 school systems, we still have 50 municipal departments that chose not to consolidate into an RSU. All maybe with the exception of one, and I'm not sure today, given the phone call that I got, they all have the same problem. And I'll tell you, you're in it together, your business partners, you got to talk a lot more. You do, especially in this day and age. What one does affects the other, and vice versa.
Any other, you said you had some advice for the town, you feel like you've covered that advice going forward?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, to just think of some other things. The timing issue, the $60,000, I do think it was timing, because I think, again, I understand that, some valuations went up, tax bills may have been more, but bottom line is your collection rate at that snapshot was down. So I'm not so much concerned to that, especially knowing that your receivable, what was owed for the town for taxes and for liens, it was about the same come about August 31st, middle of September. So that just tells me, I'm not even going to offer a theory, except that they don't have the money, why people didn't pay by June 30th. So, communication, that's the message I bring.
And tighter purse strings. Or equally tight purse strings.
Now, actually, and then the other issue that we've talked about, look at some of the reserve accounts that you have. Pretty comfortable with the school. Town reserve accounts. There's some things that were done with inventory refresh my memory, for the road commissioners, the inventory for sale and all that. I think it's time to revisit. I just don't know all the intention, what was behind, the numbers and what was behind the logic to do that. But in this day and age, revisit that logic, not just for that, but for all your reserve funds, because there was a day and age for that, and sometime the times all change with the times. And I do think you've got a few $100,000s in reserve, look at them. You know, are they what we need? Because here's the other message that I want to bring. You have no capital plan. You really have no capital reserve, for lack of a better word. You're not a small town. You've got a lot of infrastructure. You've got a school, you know, and the reserve accounts clearly aren't where they need to be at this town. And I think if you were to go out for bond ratings, you would get dinged, as we would refer to it as, by the rating agency because of the lack of reserves. Yeah, you look good on a piece of paper, but you know what? Show us your capital plan. Show us your reserves. Show us your rainy day account that you've got to take care of the unexpected. And I really think that that's what I preach, you know, going forward, is in foresight. I think you're probably at least 1 or 2 years from making a conscious commitment because of the economy. The economy won't let you fund that commitment right now. But at some point in time, don't wait 2 years, start now to see what it is going to cost. And on the heels of that, come up with a fund balance policy. Come up with a number that makes sense for this town to keep available for tax stabilization. Come up with a fund that this tax has available to fund capital items. Come up with the money that the town has to fund an emergency. Come up with a number that the school has for a contingency reserve, more than just waiting at the end of the year to see what it's got for fund balance. Work on those things. But I think that, and I'd work on them now, but I think that, the economy makes you 2 years from recovering that, because that's just a tough burden to put on the taxpayers right now. It's a tough chore. So that's what I have.
Any other questions from the boards? Okay, thank you, Ron.
Well, I'll thank Bruce and Bill, so I'll give them credit, and certainly Michelle and Carleen. You know, absolutely, you guys were a great pleasure to work with, and it was good to be here tonight.
Great,
So,
Can you stay for a while, okay, some of the questions from the group?
I wasn't intending on, but I'll
Stay in the vicinity.
I'll absolutely stay right here.
Oh, no.
Just in case we need to
Okay.
have you answer the questions.
Don't leave the room, there we go.
Yeah.
We're going to open it up to the floor. If there are any questions for the auditor from the floor, if you could address them to our board first. And okay, Ron, all right. Well, thank you very much, Ron. Really appreciate that. Great.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, great. Moving on, we are opening sand bids this evening. So, here we go.
There we go.
It's kind of like Christmas.
I brought my knife with me. But my fingers don't work that good. Well, I got my knife in there one time. All right, there you go.
I changed my mind, I think maybe I want you to sit at the other end of the table.
Yes. Would you like us to email it over to your office?
The full one or just the short?
We have the short one.
I have the short.
All right, our first bid comes from Pike Industries Incorporated East. And it is a bid of $6.50 per ton with an estimated quantity of 2,800 tons, and that is a delivered price.
It was $6.50 per ton, right?
$6.50 per ton from Pike, delivered. Next bid is from Stewart, Torno and Stewart, out of Lebanon, Maine. Supply and deliver 2,000 yards of coarse screened winter sand to the Acton Salt Sand Shed on Sanborn Road, 2,000 cubic yards at $5.98 per cubic yard. Is a cubic yard the same? How does that, is it a ton? A ton and a cubic yard?
Cubic yard and a ton is different, much different.
What is, how do we convert, guys?
Well, you got 2,800 a ton, and divide that by 650, and that'll give you a price per yard.
2,800 pounds per yard.
2,800.
1.3.
2,800 pounds per yard.
I'm sorry, my math is
We'll
just,
have to figure
we're
it
gonna
out.
have to figure that out in a bit. It's too many numbers tossing out. If somebody comes up with the answer in the crowd, please let us know. All right, we have from Turk's Sand and Gravel, from Acton, Maine. We have screened winter sand delivered to the sand salt shed on Sanborn Road for a cost of $5.50 per yard, delivery included.
550.
Yes. And our last, is this our last or is it two?
No, it's good.
That's one bid, okay. Last one comes from Landscapers Depot out of Kingston, New Hampshire, and it is 3/8 inch screened sand at $5.49 a yard delivered. They are coming from their new sand and gravel pit in Acton, Maine.
549.
549 yard per delivered.
Oh, collaboration.
So that is that. So I guess the only thing to do is to figure out we've got to do the math. All right, guys. What is the conversion?
2,800 pounds.
2,800 pounds
1.3.
equals 1 cubic yard?
Right. So it'll be a third of,
Okay. So if I want to, I have 2,000 cubic yards. We are I'd still like to know where to put it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know. I'm gonna end up with it in pounds again. Oh, right, in per ton. So what is 2,800 times 2,000? It's gonna be, yes, I do, thank you.
that's without a computer.
What are you bidding?
816.
$8.16 per
I don't
yard?
know, I'm just doing it in my head. I don't know how to.
All right. We will work it out, the math completely and totally. We are going to table awarding the bid because we would like to have our board and the road commissioners take a look at the sand. Okay? So if we can coordinate that, we have both road commissioners here. Is there a way we can coordinate traveling together and taking a look at the sand at the pits that are local? I think that this pit, if it's coming in at 816 per yard, that's high enough out that we can say no to that one. And with Pike coming in at 650 and we have two other bids at 550, I feel somewhat comfortable with thinking that maybe we won't want to go with the 650 if we have two bids.
550.
549, right.
And 598.
So I think that if we could make a date to go with the two road commissioners, look at the sand at Turks, look at the sand at Landscapers Depot, since they're both right here in Acton, is that amenable to the board? And does that work for you guys?
You're talking less than 50 cents difference between Turks and STS. You might as well look at that one too if you're going to do
You might
that.
as well look at the one.
They're right in Lebanon, right?
Yeah.
You look at
Well, it's
them
a
all.
dollar difference per ton.
No, the only one that we're probably not going to bother looking at is Pike. I've got to sample that right in my truck. We've got the Pike
I
EV
think it's
sample.
819
But
per year.
for the price of that, I don't think we want to contemplate going there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I must have misunderstood. Oh, it does, I'm sorry. They've already done the math for us, guys. I just didn't read far enough down.
It's fine, Dad.
598 per cubic yard. I apologize, everyone.
598.
No, right, no, but that, I did,
You did say that.
right. The problem is that we don't know how much it is per ton.
It's short and tunnel.
They were supposed to bid it at per yard, is what the request
That's
was.
SDS 598.
Okay, that's all good. Moving on. All right. So we have the three bids within range of one another. So are we good with taking a field trip to STS, Landscapers Depot, and Pike? I'm sorry, Turks?
I'll bring the bus.
Do you guys want to set a date to do that fairly soon?
Yeah, we'll let you get in before it snows.
How about next Tuesday afternoon during our office hours, 2 to 4?
Sounds good.
Work for you?
Sure.
You guys available next Tuesday between 2 and 4?
I'm sure I can do.
Scott?
Scott?
Yep.
Great. So we'll meet here at 2 o'clock. How many people fit on that bus?
14.
Excellent. First come, first serve.
Tuesday.
We get the first seats. Tuesday from 2 to 4. So it is our public workshop hours. If people wish to join us, they may do so. But we get the best seats in the bus. Okay. Great. Got it? All right. We need to amend our holiday schedule. Turns out that Veterans Day, for some reason, we did not list on our holiday listing this year. It was an oversight. We, of course, are closed at the town hall on November 11th. That is only just and right. So the town offices will not be open that day. We are scheduled to have a board meeting that evening. It's the second Thursday of the month. We will instead be holding our only board meeting for the month of November on November 18th because the fourth Thursday of the month is Thanksgiving. So that takes out both of our planned meeting dates. So we will be meeting in November on the 18th, and it looks like it will be quite a meeting. We'll have to award the sand bid, and thus we can talk to MMA and maybe see if we can award that during one of our office hour meetings. I don't know if we're going to be allowed to do that. We might need to call a meeting to do that with. Yes?
Now you want us, when are we gonna be awarding the sand bid again?
That's what I was just saying. We need to talk to MMA and find out. If we go on our field trip on Tuesday, where they're gonna wanna get the sand delivered as soon as possible, if we can call a meeting during our office hours on Thursday the 4th.
Yeah, if it's legal for us to do it out of a regular
I
selectmen's
don't
meeting.
believe we have to do that. I mean, on paving or any other bid process, it's up to the discretion of either road commissioner.
That's the road commissioners, but we have to assign this bid, so we have to do it at a legal
Right.
meeting. And our office hours are put out there so everybody knows we're having it, but whether we can do a vote to do a bid is the question we have to ask, and we can have that answer before we even go.
I just
Why don't we
want
do
to
this?
get this process rolling as
Yeah.
quick as we can.
Well,
Why don't we do
we
this?
will.
Why don't we just say, we will be holding a board meeting for the exclusive purpose of awarding the sand bid on Thursday, November 4th at 5 PM. Okay? So Lorraine, if you could get that posted and make sure Jen gets it as well so she can post it. So 5 PM, we will award the sand bid. It will have given us the Tuesday to meet with the road commissioners and to travel around. Scott?
Yes, I mean, we got the bids, 549 was the lowest. I've seen that material, I've seen Turk's material. I haven't seen SDS's.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Well, I mean, I'd like to get the sand in as soon as possible.
Okay, and we'll do it next Thursday. So I want us to just, if we can all just look at the sand, all agree, yep, it's all good sand, it's all equal quality, we can move on from there. Okay? But next Thursday, 5 PM, November
If
4th.
Dave and I have the sand here, or if we each get us,
No, let's just all go together.
all
All
right.
right? We'll just all go together. It'll be a field trip, Scott. I'll make popcorn. It'll be great. So we'll award that time. But that meeting will only be for that purpose. Will only be to award the sand bid. So select board will meet November 18th. Have to miss the planning board. I'm sure they'll be distressed. All right.
It'll be at 5, so they can still go.
No, I was actually with the 18th. We're at 7. All right, so municipal valuation return. We are filing this with the state. Lorraine has very kindly put it together. We've reviewed it. It looks correct. I will entertain a motion to sign.
I make a motion we sign the municipal valuation return.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Set? All in favor?
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Should I ask what the state evaluation is?
Yes. Hold on, just a minute, John. From the state valuation?
He wants to know what this is.
You want to know what the entire document is? Or you
No,
want
I
to know
want
the
to know
number?
what the amount is.
Oh,
That the state assessed us?
No, the state regulations, no.
The state, this is just from our tax commitment
Oh, okay.
and so forth.
You
Okay, so
you
it's
haven't got a value?
No.
no, we're sending it to them so they can give us the.
But we do have the estimated value, I put it on your desk the other day, state valuation.
Okay, I can get that for you the next meeting, John.
Thank you.
I make a motion, we appoint Nancy Ruma to the cable committee.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Excellent. All right, any other business? Oh. All right, any other business?
That valuation.
Okay, moving on to announcements. FEMA has sent us a letter this week letting us know that they are no longer going to be pursuing the flood maps that they had sent us, telling us that we were shifting to. That they have heard enough concern from communities in Maine that they are going to be switching to a different mapping system, and that they will let us know what that's going to look like in the next few months. So we had Ken Paul looking at the changes that they were suggesting and making sure that they were okay in the town of Acton, but all of his work was for naught because FEMA has decided that they don't like their own maps and that they are going to approach it from a different way. So we'll keep you apprised, but it will be being announced in the newspaper in November, so just wanted to give people a heads up. We are aware of it. We do know that the mapping is going to be changing, and we will keep in contact with FEMA to make sure that Acton's flood maps are as correct as we can hope from FEMA. Another announcement that I would like to toss out there is the middle school students will be baking pies again for Thanksgiving baskets for the food pantry. Anyone who is interested in helping to make that possible by donating bags of sugar or flour or sticks of butter or evaporated milk or canned pumpkin. Am I forgetting anything, Lorraine? Cinnamon. Or if you just want to...
Aluminum pie plates.
Oh, aluminum pie plates, yep. Or if you just want to give a donation directly to Lorraine and she will make sure that it goes to the right place, that would be great. We were able to make 30 pies last year. They all went out with the baskets that the church puts together. It was a nice kind of community effort, and we are looking forward to doing that again, and the food pantry is looking forward to having that assistance again. Any other announcements from? You can deliver them. Lorraine, do you mind having them housed in your office again?
No.
Last year, Lorraine was very kind, gave us office space with her, so if they have things they want to donate, please have them bring them in. Also, thank you, Ted. Wreaths Across America, we talked about this last year. Want to have a little bit more time for people to work on that this year. We have a few townspeople that will be going down to Arlington Cemetery in the second week of December. Is that correct? And they will be placing wreaths on the veterans' graves there, and they would especially like to be able to place wreaths of veterans from the area or family members of people that live in Acton. So if you have a family member or a friend that is buried in Arlington, if you know of someone that would be interested in this, they would be very honored to get to lay that wreath for you and know that it's somebody local that they are doing that for. So. And they are very diligent in their efforts. Even when given a wrong address, they will spend much time looking for that. And really a nice program, really great program. So I hope that can work. Any other announcements that anybody has?
Now, let me give a plug to the school volunteers.
Tricia Halliday is the principal of the school, and she'd like very much to have volunteers show up on Tuesday mornings from 8:30 to 9:30 to discuss the possibility of volunteering an hour or two of your time once, twice, 3 times a week, whatever people feel comfortable with. I can tell you this is a very rewarding thing to do. The kids really appreciate it. It's basically listening to them read, and I can say that it's a good feeling when you get done. But they really could use volunteers. I think Debbie can probably attest to the reward you feel from it, and but it's really something very nice to do. And every Tuesday from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning, Tricia Halliday hosts a coffee and donut get together to discuss, what people could do in the way of volunteering with the children of Acton. So, thank you.
And actually, where we're going to not be meeting till November 18th, I'm going to toss this out now as well. As many of you know, and many more of you don't know, 4-H puts on a Christmas tree lighting here at the town hall the first Saturday evening in December. And it's really a nice community event. The tree gets lit out here in front of the town hall. Santa comes and joins us so that kids can come and meet him and give him their wish list. There's always crafts to be done and lots of cookies to eat. It's a free event. There's no charge for it. It's just something that's really nice to do as a community. We sing Christmas carols. It feels a little hokey, but it's really not. It's great, and it's a lot of fun. So I would just encourage people to mark it on their calendars now. I know it's a busy time of year, but the first Saturday in December, it's always when it takes place, and it will be taking place here again that evening. So mark your calendars now, and I'd love to see everybody here. That would be great. Anything else? All right.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent.